thinking for today's webinar agenda. So, first things first, I really just want to give you a really quick overview of Travefy, just in case it'll be short, sweet, but just in case if there's anyone new here today. But then I really want you to get to know the thing that we're talking about the most today, which is automation and workflows. How it works. I'm going to break it down for you and I'm going to introduce it all to you. So, whether you might be already pretty familiar and you're just here to get some tips, or maybe you're like, I don't know what that is. So, we're going to help you out today. So, I'll go through all of that. But then we're actually going to do a demo walkthrough where I'm going to walk through an entire workflow with you. So, I'm going to do a trip workflow, which will include things to do before they depart, during, and after. So, there's going to be a lot in there. So we're going to do that all together. And then I'm going to give you some additional ideas after that because there's a lot you can do with this. But here's the best part, stick around at the end because everything that I'm going to do today, I'm going to give to you. Yes, you heard that right. So if you want to take screenshots, take notes, go for it as I'm doing things. But know that the workflow I'm going to build, I'm gonna give to you so you can put it right in your own account and then customize it and use it. Yes, I'm gonna make this easy. I told you it's gonna be actionable for you here today. So know that that will come to you at the end here. So then I'll talk about that, like how you put it in your own account, but then also how you can use like Marketplace to find more task lists. And I'm telling you, by the end of this, if you don't have a workflow, you will have a workflow in the next 45 minutes. You can guarantee that, which is very exciting. But then I'm gonna wrap it up and I'll just tell you, how to get started with Travefy if you're not already, and next steps, and then Q&A. So all those things. I see a lot of excited woohoos. So exciting. It's a lot. It's really cool stuff. Telling you. But one thing though, before I get into automations, I do want to explain, if you are new to Travefy, know that we offer a lot of different tools. We're not going to be talking about all of them here today, but we do have tons of tools that are all built in one platform. The great thing is again, Travefy's been around for a while now, and we are trusted by over 30,000 different travel brands worldwide. I mean, there's so much, and we've been adding. We started as that itinerary builder, and we've been adding so many tools, functionalities like workflows and tasks that you're going to see here today. So just keep in mind that we offer so many different tools for many different parts of your business that are all part of one system in one account and one subscription. So that's the cool thing about this is if you have Travefy, you have all of this, and you also are going to have all the tools that I'm going to walk through today. So know that as like you're seeing on your screen right now, these are everything that's available to you. You have your website, landing page builder for marketing, you have your forms, which we will talk about today. So we will talk about forms, CRM, your client management area. We will be digging into that as well, which includes that automation, invoicing, all of that good stuff. And then, of course, we have, where you can build those proposals, itineraries. You have the mobile app, all of that good stuff. So lots of different tools in there, which is really awesome. But again, today's main focus is going to be about building those seamless and simple workflows to really just streamline and make your business and life a little less complicated. Sounds pretty cool, huh? Sounds good. I like it. Like, sounds really awesome. So, what I like to say, we are going to help you look like a pro and stay organized. So, with that, let me dive in here and I'm going to show you specifically looking at, automations, workflows, all of that good stuff. So, let me show you how. Now, the first thing that I want to do, I'm going to walk through a couple slides before I get into Travefy because I really want to make sure that, you have a good idea of what's possible. And then I'm going to show you how you plug it all into Travefy. Now, with automations, this is a general overview of automations that we support. Now, in automation, you can automate to, send without having to manually do it. You can send trip invites. So that includes like a proposal, an itinerary to just automatically send that with maybe a message to the client. You can also, add tasks, whether it's for yourself to just remember, like, hey, I need to check in, or maybe it's like, I need to call a supplier, any task for yourself. You can automate to send those forms. So when you create a form, whether it's, collecting new traveler information or it's credit card authorization, you can have set that to automate to send on your behalf. Same thing with chats. So when it comes to that mobile app, you can have your client, a message like checking in or something and just send it as a chat. Again, without having to think about it, remember it. Same thing with invoicing and credit card authorization forms. Now, we're going to go through, I don't want to dig too deep right now because we're going to go into all of this as we set it all up. But one thing I do want to talk about really quick, just so you get your head in the right space, is talk about like what makes an automation. So when you hear us say an automation, what we mean is obviously it's automated, so it's going off. On your behalf at a time that you've scheduled. But in Travefy, what this is it's where you're taking a task. So you're setting up a task and you're adding an action item to that task. So that could be, again, that could be like a chat message to your client. It could be sending a form to them that they need to fill out. It could be, sending the itinerary to them with a message, any of those things. And then you're going to add on a date and time that you're scheduling it to send. So you might say, this needs to send out 30 days before a trip. Or maybe you have a specific date. You're like, it has to be due on October 30th. So that's where you can go ahead, set that up. And then when you add all of those things together, that's what makes an automation. So that's the way to think of this is again, because you could have your single tasks that don't really have a date or time scheduled to it. It's just like, I need to remember to do this. But what we're really looking at today is how to streamline it. So we want to talk about how you put everything together so you don't have to think about it and it's just going out. So that's what makes that an automation. Now, to take this a step further, we're going to be focusing on how do you put all your automations together to create a whole workflow or like a task list. So it's like whenever you're doing this type of trip for a client, you are always going to have all of these same tasks and automations that will be happening. So that's where we create what's called a task list. And that's where you start to, again, you put together all of these together. So you might have like your insurance form that's getting sent, the trip invite. And that's where you can then add these to a trip or a contact. Now, don't worry if this is feeling a little fuzzy right now because we're going to walk through all this. But I wanted to kind of walk through, though, how all these features and tools all work together to build that workflow and task list all today. So, really awesome stuff. Now, to give you a couple examples here, this is what you will see today. But this is what it looks like once you do put a task list into a trip and how like all the dates start filtering in. Just giving you example there. But I also have to share, this is a very fun one. I do have to share here with you is a real life example. I am shouting out Shannon, if you're on here, shout out to you. So if you're in our Facebook group, Shannon is a Travefy user and had started a conversation, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, about how she sets up her task list. Yeah, Elaine just said Shannon's amazing. She is. And she went through and was showing how she does everything. And it kind of inspired this because we started realizing, wait a second, there's a lot of people who don't know about this or like how to use this. So we're like, let's break it down for you and spend some time walking through this. So that's really why we're here. But I had to ask Shannon, said, can I please share what you do to show what's possible? And here's an example of what she does where she creates a task list for like every different type of trip. And go to our Facebook group and you can check out all of her stuff in there. She made a Loom video. It's really incredible stuff, but it really is a real life like example of everything she's doing in there. So I had to show you. So hopefully that gets you super excited to start building one together here because we're going to do just that. So okay, I'm going to take a sip of water here, just a little pause. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to build an entire task list workflow together. And remember, this task list that we build is going to come to you so you can put it in your own account. So feel free if you want to follow along, you can do so. But the great thing is that we're going to give this to you. So, first things first, how do you do this? So, what you're going to do is you're going to log into your Travefy account and you'll see that, if you first time you've ever seen Travefy, this is what it looks like. You can see your trips in here. But where your task lists are going to live, where you create them, it is going to be in your library. So, your library is where you create task lists. So, click library. Now, member library is basically where you save content to reuse over and over again. So this could be like, full itineraries or some packing list or, your forms. All of that's living in your library. But this is also where those task lists are living. So when you're ready to create a brand new task list, you're just going to click new library item and then choose task list. So choose that. And then now on the right hand side, that is going to be your area to create this ultra powerful task list. So this is where you start. And it's crazy that it looks like this now because it's about to be like amazing. It's going to save your life here in a bit. But what you can do is you can give it a title. Now, for this one that I want to build with you today is a general trip workflow. So I'm not really looking at this like, oh, is it all inclusive? Is it a cruise? Just saying it's general. And then I want to add in stuff that's pre trip, during trip, and after trip to really give you ideas here of all the things. Now, keep in mind, you could be splitting this up. So you could have a task list that's just for pre stuff. You could have a task list that's for like your proposals. You could have task list that's just for post trip. You could split it up if you wanted. So, however, it works best for you and your system, your streamlining, do whatever works best for you. But in this one, from here, I can then start to build out and add my automations and my tasks. Now, let me make the screen a little bigger here for you to show you here what you can do. Now, you can add as many of these as you want. So you can add automations and or tasks all together. So what you're going to do is if you want to add like an automation first, you just click automation and then from here, this is what you will see. So now I'm going to walk through to show you the visuals here. So you're going to see automations from this drop down. You have a few different options. Now, again, we walked through this in that slide earlier, but you can automate, an email trip invite. That's when you're sending like the proposal or the itinerary. You can also send a form. And then if you choose a form, you can then select the form from your library that you have. You can also do a trip chat message. This is going to go into that Trip Plans mobile app that your clients can download, view their trip, and chat with you on. And then there's also the ability to send an invoice. So if you're collecting planning, consultation fees, you can set that up within Travefy and then you can have this automated as well. So there's a lot of options here that you can see, which is really, really cool. Now, let's start off with our first one. I am actually going to start off with the invoice because let's just say that the invoice is the first thing. Until this is paid, I cannot move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, it's an invoice. I'm going to say you can choose the currency. It's USD in this case. And I'll go ahead and say $250. You can also choose like, what do you call this? Which I'm just going to leave it as a planning fee. And then I'm going to give them 7 days after I've sent this. So it's like, again, we just want to keep this moving 7 days. Now, I can also include a memo if I want. So if you want to say like planning fee, now remember though to keep this generic because I'm building a task list that I can add to any trip. So you don't want to go in and say, Smith family Cancun. You would go in later and add that manually after this. So keep that in mind as you're building this, just so you don't confuse someone gets it and they're like, wait, what's this for? So just leave it as generic as you can. And then you can fill that out. Now you could choose a date. I am going to start adding dates in this task list, but for this one, I'm actually not gonna add a date only because I don't really know the start date of this yet because I could get a client on the phone tomorrow and be sending this the next day, and I never even knew I would be working with this person currently. So I'm just gonna leave that right now as is, and then you can fill out the date later. So I'm gonna just go ahead and add that. Congratulations, we have our first automation in there. So really excited, yay! So we have our first automation. Now I wanna add another, and in fact, I'm gonna be adding over 10. So just so you know, as I'm going through here and you're like, "When is she gonna end?" There's about 10 of them in here. So this next one though, it's going to be insurance waivers. Do you ever have those? I'm sure you all do. You know, where you have to send, you cannot forget that. That is so important. So why not put that in your task list so you don't forget it? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this as an automation once again. So I'm going to go ahead and say add automation. From this drop down, it is going to be a form. So I'm going to have this form already built in my Travefy account. So if you want to add a form in here, you do need to make sure that you have that form already in your account. And also, I have the hottest tip for you. Well, this isn't really a tip. This is just like really cool, a present. All the forms that I'm using today, you're also getting. So when you copy this entire, task list into your account, you're going to get all the forms that I'm using. So I'm saving you a lot of time. Hopefully, I hope this is really going to help you. But the form that I'm adding in here is just a simple insurance. So I'm going to type in insurance waiver. I'm going to use this template sample. So I'm going to send that one. So this template sample. Oh, wait, no, this is a declined. I don't want that one. Sorry. I kid you. I'm going to do the insurance waiver form. Here it is, that one. I want to make sure I give you the good one. So there it is right there. Now, if I wanted, I can also add that message in here, which I'm going to go ahead and add. And you only have to do this once. So I'm just going to say, I'm excited to start planning your trip. Before we get into the process, like I will need your confirmation on this. Now we're going to get into this in a little bit, but you can save these messages. So these custom messages that you add, you can just add once like I'm doing, but you can also choose to save them and then just pull them from your saved messages. So we're going to get into that, but know that you can do that. Now, once again, I'm not going to choose a date quite yet on this yet because again, I still don't really know when that might be starting. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that blank for now. So I'm going to say done on that. Now, I'm going to do one more thing that is due before we start actually like booking stuff. And I'm going to do this as an automation one more time because I need to send the last thing is a traveler information with passport. So I need to send them a form to make sure I get all the information that is needed. So I'm going to go ahead and choose from this drop down again and choose form. And then from here, I can select the form. Now, again, you're going to get this one. So I'm going to do traveler with passport upload. So if you didn't know, fun fact, Travefy supports the ability to upload content or to upload like photos, which includes like passport, and it's safe and secure. So when this form that I'm going to be requesting has all the information like what's your emergency contact, dietary restrictions, and then also like what's your passport number, what's the expiration date, upload a photo of it. All of that is going to be answered in this form. So really, really amazing. So in here, I'm going to just go ahead and leave that. Now, again, if you want to put a custom message, I highly recommend you do that. Just make it a little more personalized. But I'm going to leave that blank for now. And once again, I'm not going to put a date just because all these forms will kind of be sent very much at the same time there. So I am going to just go ahead and click done. So we'll save that there. So there we go. Now we have officially just completed pretty much like the pre-trip stuff. So that's kind of where that starts. Now this is where I'm going to start getting into dates, where I'm going to say no matter what the start date of this trip is, this needs to be done on this date. So the first one that I want to do is I'm going to make a task. So these first three things I've made are all automation. So they're all like the form, the messaging, it's all good to go. But I also want to show you how to add a task. Now, a task is what you make for yourself. So I want to clarify these aren't tasks that are notify your client. These are so if you want to notify your client, that's where you create an automation or you just send it manually to them. But a task is for you. So a good example of this task is let's say that I'm saying I need to make sure that I finalize the bookings with my suppliers, and this needs to happen 60 days before that trip start date. So I want to take a pause here because notice how we can decide this because you might have been wondering like how do you make a task list when the dates are always different? Well, here's the great thing. What you're doing is you're just putting in like what day, how many days it needs to be before or after a trip start date or a trip end date. So then when you add this to a trip, it's going to automatically populate the dates for you. So that's a great thing. Now, another thing is you also can add times. This is really helpful. I'm going to do this in a couple more tasks. I'm going to add some times, but know that you can always add times in here. So if you're like, I know that at like 3 p.m. my time, this is going to make the most sense for me to get this. You can do that. And the time is just set in your time zone. So know that. So the time zone, and you can go into your account settings and it'll recognize your time zone. So that's how it's adding those times. Because I saw someone ask about that, but I'm going to come back to that, like adding times. But for now, for this specific task, it's pretty general. I'm just going to make it, finalize the booking with suppliers 60 days before that start date. So it's really a task for myself. So now the next thing I need to do is kind of similar, which is, I need to make sure that I remember to send them a form to say, okay, this is like your last chance. Are there any final travel requests, arrangements, anything like that? And I want to do that by sending a form so they can fill it out and say, yeah, I would love to get some dining reservations scheduled, things like that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to add that as the automation. So I'm going to say add automation, and then I can go ahead and say, okay, I want this to be a form. Because once again, I've already created this form. This form is called Final Travel Arrangements Form. Now, you're going to be getting this form. This form is going to have the ability where they can add their name, email, and then also say, I want to, let them choose like, do you need any transportation? Check if you need like to and from airport or, like tours and excursions, whatever it might be. And it gives you them opportunities to fill in that info, or if they want to add any more tours, dining, anything like that. So that's what that form would be. And then I can say that this final travel arrangements form needs to go to them at least 50 days. And maybe you could do it a little less time, but I figured, give yourself some time so you can actually make those bookings for them. So let's say to keep this streamlined, do 50 days before that trip start date. Now, before I close out of this and save this, I also want to add a message here because I want to show you how to start personalizing this. So I have this message that I want to save, and I'm going to show you how to save it so that way you can put it on anything in the future. If you need to use it outside of this, you can. And how to do that is you can click this drop down of like saved messages, and then you can scroll through, you can see I have stuff saved in here already, but this new message I'm gonna choose, and I can go ahead and give it a title, and let's just say the title is, let's make it like final, travel arrangements message. And we'll just say that. And then the message is going to say, and this is what's so cool about this. I can say your trip is right around the corner. In 50 days, you leave, which will be accurate because it is sending in 50 days. So it's really cool. Like, see how cool automation is? They're going to be like, wow, you remembered my trip is literally in 50 days. So it's so cool that you can do that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and save that. And then you can see. So now if you ever need to grab that again, you can go ahead and get it right in that saved message list. I also will know that you'll get the saved message when I share this with you after this too. So you'll get all these. So there you have it. I'm going to click done. Now, is this cool or what? It's really starting to come together. I mean, we have, you're really touching that you're having all these touch points with your clients, but let's add more. We want so many touch points with them because why not? How awesome. So the next thing that I want to add is I want to start getting, okay, this is, let's say that we're starting to get within 30 days of their trip. So one thing I want to do is I want to add another task for myself because listen, we're all busy. We're going to forget about this stuff. So, some people don't though. They're very good about it. But if you're anything like me, I need a task. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say, okay, one last thing. I got to confirm final payments. And let's make sure that is happening 30 days before that trip start date. So, I want to make sure the loose ends are tied. So all that good stuff. So that's the good thing in there. So we have all that. You're not going to forget anything. But now I want to start adding more touch points for my client. Really just give them a great client experience. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to send them some packing list recommendations. Now this is going above and beyond for some. Some are like, I do not send all that, but a lot do, and it's really cool and it's so easy to do. And how you would do this is first add it to the itinerary. So add it to their itinerary. You can put in like an info and docs section. Um, you know, all that good stuff. You can just go ahead and plug it in. In fact, if you go to Marketplace, you can find packing lists. They're in there. So like take it another step further, less things you have to do. But let's say that I've added, the packing list recommendations already into their itinerary. And so I'm going to add I'm going to send the itinerary to them and I'm going to have a custom message that says that I already have created that says packing list recommendations and it's just going to say, make sure check out your itinerary. And this email is going to have a button where they can click to view their itinerary. And so I'm going to say, check it out. And in there, you're going to find a recommended packing list I've included for you. So super cool. And then I also said in here, remember, you can do this. I'm going to say, not finding what you're looking for or have questions, reply back to this email and let me know. So keep in mind, they can always reply back to this email that they're getting and it goes to you. So it's not getting lost. So cool stuff. So you can go ahead and you can put in that custom message. Now, in this one, let's go ahead and say, let's see, what was I putting this one at? 30 days before. So let's say this is 30 days before that trip start date. So I'm going to click done. And there we go. So now we have that. Now, a couple things that we want to do. I want to send, I highly recommend this next one, very much so. I want to send another pre travel email sending their itinerary, inviting them to download the mobile app. This one's big, everybody, because I know a lot of you, your clients, they use it, they love it, and then sometimes you're like, I can't, they don't turn it on, they forget to download it before they leave. This is what's going to help you. So add an automation here. So just say add automation. Once again, I'm going to add that trip invite. So I'm just sending the itinerary to them. And I'm going to say, I have a saved message in here that says, get the app. So it's going to say, view your itinerary on the go. Here's why you should get it, all that good stuff. I also see some people put this information in the itinerary, which you could do, and you could still have this automation saying, go in your itinerary, you'll find all the instructions, all that good stuff. So this one I really, really, really recommend. And I'm gonna do this one. Let's do this. What did I have this one set as? Oh, 5 days. Let's say 5 days before that trip start date. We're gonna send this to them. So now you're assuming that since you've sent this to them, they do have that app now. So now here's where you could start sending like those chat messages, or you can send check-in flight reminders. Now, this is a big one. The check-in flight reminder you could send as a chat. But one thing that I'm going to show you as an example, I'm going to send it as the trip invite once again. Just so that way it's like an overall picture again. It's like, remember, here's your flight number, flight information. So I'm gonna just say add automation, and I'm gonna once again keep it at that trip email. And then I'm going to say, this is a reminder to check into your flight 24 hours. Now, this is one thing that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put this for 1 day before the trip start date. Now, this is where I'm going to recommend let's add a time because I want this. I don't want them to miss this. And then it's like 5 hours and maybe they're on Southwest and now they're on C, or they're on, I always joke if I'm in C, I'm like on the wing almost. So, prevent this from happening. So let's say this is going to go to them at 12 a.m. Now, remember, when you put in the time, it's going to go in your time zone. So this is your time zone that it's picked up on. If you want to change your time zone, so like if you're traveling or something, you can go into your account settings and change it. So you can cut, like say, most of my clients are on this time zone. So just go into your Travefy account and change your time zone. That's all you have to do. So keep that in mind, but you'll see it says that I'm in Central so that it's picked up on that. So then that way, this is going to go to my client like before they wake up. So they know they're getting, all these notifications. So that's the great thing. So there we go. Now we have that. Now, a couple more things I want to add here with you. I want to add in a chat message. These are so fun. So let's say, again, we told them get that app because that's how we're going to communicate. So I'm going to send an automation and I'm going to make it a trip chat message. And in this trip chat message, I'm going to say bon voyage. So I have a bon voyage one here. And this is going to say, wishing you an incredible journey, as you embark. Like, if you need anything, do not forget I'm here, all of that good stuff. So I can just say that is going to go one day, and I can say now, let's say this is going one day after the trip start date. So I've already sent them some stuff the day before, so I don't want to keep bombarding them. So I'm going to wait to know that when they receive this, they're definitely on the ground at their destination. Hopefully they are. If not, then you might have already been talking to them. But that's how you know that it's just this check-in. It's a check-in point, really. And then the other thing you can do, if you ever want to add another check-in, you can add another automation. And let's call this chip chat message. And let's say that this is like checking in. How is it going? Anything I can help with? And maybe this one is, let's say this one's like 3 days, after that trip start date, or maybe we can make it like 5 days or something. Or you could also say maybe it's 3 days before the trip end date. So it's really kind of making sure, like, hey, is everything like going good? It's kind of getting close to the end now. So you can send that. So you have that one there. Um, so that's all during. Now, I have a couple more, and I know that there's a lot here, but again, remember, you're getting all this afterwards. But one of the other things is that I also want to add, like welcome home messages, feedback form requests, and then a really fun one. So let me show you here. I'm going to add a welcome home message. And again, this is going to be an automation. So I am going to say this email, it's going to be a trip invite. So they're going to get like the whole itinerary, and it's just going to be like a welcome home. And we can just say, I can't remember if I actually did not create a welcome home. So I'm just going to say welcome home message here. So that way you can customize that and write that in. But then you can say this is, one day after that trip end date. So we can say that. And then there we go. We have that trip, that one now. Now, another big one is that also feedback request forms. I see this one a lot. If you want to set up your own form for a feedback request, like I've done and you're going to get after this, is if you add an automation, I'm going to add it as a form. And I actually created this post trip feedback form that just asks more questions like, what was your favorite thing? Like, if like, oh, do you want to leave a review? Can I use this in marketing? Do you have a photo to upload for it? All that good stuff. You can add that in there as well. So you can send that. And then let's just say maybe that's 3 days after the trip end date. So we can say that as well and just say done. And then now this final one, this is a fun one. What if, okay, we have like all this stuff. Now it might end here for you, but let's say I've seen this is really cool. What if you add in one more automation and it's sharing the itinerary? And what if it is like a 1 year anniversary? Like it's a 1 year post anniversary. Now I have this. Let me show you here. Let me see. There it is. I saved this. So I am going to have this send 1 year after that trip start date. And it's going to say, I can't believe it's been a year since your trip. Looking back at your itinerary, I hope it was filled with so much fun. I'd love to help you start planning your next one. And this is going to go to them 365 days after that trip start date. How cool is that? I mean, what? Then you really don't have to remember anything. It's so awesome. So there we have it. Look at all this. We've just created. This is a lot. Yeah, it's so much. But now I want to show you how you actually use this. So once we have this in our account, I'm going to go ahead and save it. You can see now it's in here. I can always come in and edit things if I wanted. But if I want to add this to a trip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my trips list. Now, click on the trip that you want to add your task list to. So, I'm going to use the Smith family Cancun vacation, and I can say tasks and automation. So, that's where you're going to find it. So once you expand into this trip, you can choose see all those tasks and automations. Now in here, let me make sure you that or to tell you that you really can add things manually. So if you need to do like one-off tasks, automations, you certainly can do that. But you also can just go ahead and import that entire task list. So in this task list, we can go ahead and say, okay, this general trip workflow that we added, here we go. You ready for this? I'm about to click on it. Ah, boom, it's in. Look at that. So now look at how all the dates have just added themselves in there. So we have like the last thing, going to, or the first thing is going to have to be, on January 11th. Wait, that actually says that should have
That
been, I
yes,
had that
that
wrong.
should have been,
I had that wrong.
after.
Yep.
Clara caught that for us, so we'll switch that before
Oh,
we share it out, so thank you.
thank you for that. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I was like, "Wait, what is that?" So, thanks for catching that. You're paying attention. I really just wanna make sure you all are on your toes, you know? Just making sure you're paying attention here. But you can see all of that comes in. Now, I wanna note though that if there's anything you need to change, you can. It's not gonna, like, affect your whole task list. Like, for example, those forms, those insurance ones, we didn't technically have dates on those yet. So, you can go ahead and you could, like, send it right now. So, there's an option, see how it says "Send now"? You could do that. You also could just say like, "Hey, I want to send this like tomorrow at this time." And then you also can choose like who is this being sent to. So we automatically will send everything to everyone on the trip unless you change that. So you can also change these again if you want to change the state, you can. And then you can also say this is, being changed. This is just sending to one person specifically. So you can go in and start to edit and customize, add more if you need, all of that good stuff. So that's how that works. Now, one thing that I want to note too, and I know I came up on time extremely fast, so we'll make sure to go over here. But the other thing I'm also going to share with you, because I won't be able to walk through it, but a lot of times people also ask, like, how do we set up things like payment plans? You do it the same way I just did that, and I'm going to share this with you. So I'm actually going to drop this in the chat right now. This one is like a payment plan workflow. And when you're doing payment plans, you're really just linking up credit card authorization forms and just putting them like 30 days, 60 days, or however you want. But you can include those on a main task list, but you can also go into your contacts directly and you can also just add task lists for people. And this is a great example of like, let's say Jane Doe is, in that, we want to put that task list of the payment plan in here because it's just going to this one person. So that's why I like to show that because you also can have things set just to go to like one person, which is really handy. Now, one final thing is you can view all of your tasks, like view everything. Like you have multiple trips going on. So of course you can go in each trip individually, but you also, if you click at the top, see on the left-hand side of your name, there's like a clipboard here. You can actually see what tasks are due. You can quickly type one for yourself. But if you click view all tasks, here's where you can see them. So you can see like what are all the tasks happening this week. Luckily, I have none. But you can see like what are the ones in the past, which ones did I create manually versus which ones are automatically happening. You can see all of that. So you can get a high level overview picture of it. Here's the other great thing. Download the Travefy Pro app. So this is the app that you use as a client, or sorry, as the Travefy user. So your clients use trip plans, but you use Travefy Pro, and within Travefy Pro are you'll be able to get notifications when tasks are due. So you'll literally get push notifications. You also, though, what's really great is you can also get the if you think of something, you're on the go and you're like, I need to add that task, add it in the app. Simple as that. So I'm telling you, it's so handy, so so handy. But the last thing too, I will give you that template once I'm gonna fix that first and then give it to you. But I also highly recommend go into Marketplace and find galore amount of of task lists in there. So Marketplace, if you're not familiar, is basically a community shared area where we've had like Travefy users are choosing to share content. So if they build something they want to share it with other users, they'll make it available. We also include like the content you see here today. we put that in Marketplace so you can find it as well. But if you go in Marketplace, you can search for task lists. So, like, if you just type, you can search around for different things, but like, I'm just going to type in like task lists, or let's just do task list. And then you can also filter out to see, like, everything in there. But you can see, like, here's like a pre and post and see what people are doing, all of that good stuff. So there's a lot in there. So definitely go check that out in there, which is just really cool. Now, um, a couple last things here that I want to share is one, and don't worry, I'll share that task list with you in 1 minute. But I do want to note though, know that our support team is here to help. So I'm going to answer a couple questions, but know that if it's more helpful for you to get on like a one-on-one demo or training, totally do that. Just let our team know. We can schedule time with you. You can also live chat us from your account, which is really handy. And then if you aren't using Travefy, go ahead and go to travefy.com. You'll get a free 10-day trial. You can build all of these task lists that you want in there as well and test them out, all of that good stuff. And then here is our pricing. I always forget to tell people, like, I forget most of you on here are Travefy users, but I know there's some who aren't. And know that our pricing, we do offer subscription plans for annual, quarterly, and monthly in here as well. And we do give you 20% off the annual plan. So it's super great. And remember, you get access to everything. So, one slide I just really want to show you really quick. Think about this. Think of like how you might pay for a form builder, and maybe that's like another $39 a month. But instead of paying for all of that, you can just pay for Travefy, $35 a month. So, like to show that slide. It's a good one. It's a really good one there. Um, but with that though, I am going to first, okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to update this for you all so I can share this list. But Bonnie, is there, I know you sent me some, but I'm gonna put you on the spot really quick. Is there like a couple questions that were really hot that I really have to get?
Oh man, we have so many great questions, but also so many great comments saying, this was so helpful. And we're so glad this was helpful to you guys. Again, big shout out to Shannon, who got this topic on fire in the
Yeah.
Facebook group, who shared her items. But I do have a few for you. And of course, I've already lost our messages area. But one that I know was coming in a few times was, if I am setting up maybe like a packing list or I want to send a type of reminder to my clients, which automation, in your opinion, is the best one?
That's a
It's
good
like, I just have a
question.
quick reminder to send to
Yeah,
them.
I would do that as a trip invite. So I would once again, I would really get in a good habit of putting most of the information that kind of like that in an itinerary. And once again, too, when you're in itineraries, you can always add them like in the information document section. So if you ever want to add like another section that's like packing list, you can do that. And then that way, it's already in there because you always add that in there. And then you can just go ahead and send it again as that trip invite is what you would choose. So then just showing like the itinerary.
Awesome. And then there's one thing I do want to highlight that came in, but I think it's pretty helpful for everyone to know. Can you go back to one of your trips with that automation task list?
Yes, let me go back to that.
And then, let's say this is our master task list, but for this client specifically or with this family specifically, I need to add in like one special item. Can I still add things in here even though it wasn't a part of my library task list? And will that
For
affect
sure.
the original?
Yes, for sure. So it won't affect the original, which is really good. So, like, let's say, for example, this is like a one off and this person's doing something specific that I don't normally plan for. So I can just go ahead and say add, and then I can say automation. So, again, if you want to, and you can say it's only going to one person, maybe you need them to fill out a form or it's just a message, you can do that. Or you can also just add a task. So you can be like, this is a task for yourself again. So this is like, add your task. And you can also add notes. So if you're like, I will forget what I meant by this, add it in the notes. I think that's really helpful too that you can do that. But certainly you can do that. Another thing that's actually pretty cool is if you start to add more and you're like, actually, that'd be really helpful on my task list, you can go back and add it, but you can also save these current task lists to libraries. So if you build out your task list on your trip first, just by pure accident, don't worry. You can still save it. So you can save it in there as well, which is so helpful. Our team really looks out for us, because I do a lot of things and I mistake and I'm like, oh, thank gosh, I can still do it. Like, so that's a great thing.
Perfect. And no, I've got some more questions for you. So if you're ready, I'm going to
Oh,
ask
yeah,
the
I'm
next
ready.
one. So this was a really good one. They said, can you show me how to set a task reminder on a task? And then can you remind us, how are we notified of a reminder?
Yes. So that is a good point because I didn't even talk about that really. So let's say an example here. I'm gonna just create a one-off task. So I'm gonna just do it like general. So it's not attached to a client contact. It's not attached to a trip. So I'm just gonna say like add task. So I'm gonna say call Alma Waterways. That's the first one that came to my mind. So call Alma Waterways about booking, or you need to check in on something. So we can say, okay, let's add the date. We got to do this by tomorrow. So let's say the 13th, but I also cannot wait till the end of the day or remember. So I'm going to say at 9:15 a.m., I need to be reminded about this. So that's where you can put that. So now it's in there. And so now I can have that. And you can do the same thing in a trip too. So you could put like a task in here. And then again, you just add that date and then you can add the exact time. And that's how you do that. And just kind of, getting those reminders. But then how you get them is it will alert you, of course, in your Travefy account. See how I have that red dot up there now? That's alerting me, but you also get it on your phone. So your phone, if you have Travefy Pro, you're also going to be getting, that notification, which is so helpful. It's cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what your guys' schedules look like, especially if you're doing more than one trip. So, task reminders on your phone, so helpful, especially if you're just trying to live your life and enjoy
Right.
some of your downtime. That is accessible to you. But one thing that we want to do really quick, Michelle, thank you for reminding us. Could you go back to your library since people are saving your task list? Can you switch the 365 days to be after the trip start date?
Oh,
Instead of
yes, I
before.
did it the wrong one. Oh, man, I apologize. So here's what everyone's gonna do. So this is a learning lesson. So what we'll do is you'll come in here if you already have it in your account and click this pencil icon and then come down here and just change it to after. And
So
there you
now
go.
if you wanna resave it, you
Boom,
can,
there it
but
is,
that's how you can
yes.
do it in your library if you've already gone
Yeah,
about
and
that.
that link, if you go click on that link, it'll be updated too.
Perfect. And now this is another good one that kind of piggybacks off of the last question I asked you about, how do we get reminders? But then if passengers or travelers
Yeah.
don't download the app and, we're doing an automated chat message, how are they notified?
Yeah, so they do need that app. So that's where you definitely want to make sure, like, and again, this is where those automations beforehand are going to come in handy to be like, do you have the app? And then maybe you set a task to be like, I need to make sure they have the app because actually, this is really okay. I'm thinking out loud here, but here's a really good idea that I should have added in here. Let's say we want to make sure if we're going to rely on communicating with them through the app, I really got to make sure they have the app downloaded. So I can add a task for myself to check to see if app is downloaded. And I can set this for myself. And again, I'll just set the time and you can put this in the task list too. And then you can actually see that because you can see the activity and you can see the clients. So when your clients are viewing the trip and downloading, you'll see if they've downloaded the app. So you don't have to ask them. You'll be able to see it. So that is one thing that I wish I would have thought of that and added that in. So good tip on that. But if you also are like, my clients don't typically download the app because some people have clientels that just aren't going to do that and they'd prefer like the PDF, and that's totally fine. So that's where maybe you just have those emails going and you just let them know, like, hey, I'm going to be sending you stuff like through email, so make sure you're watching for that.
Good one. And to also just add on to that, if they don't download the app and they are just have viewing the online version, it will send an email notification with a message that says you have an unread chat message that they can still access on their desktop or their phone's browser,
That's
however they're
true.
viewing it. But lots of different ways to make sure that they are on top of things, no matter what their
Yeah.
preferences are. We all know that our clients have a lot of varying preferences, so we could talk a
Yeah.
whole session about that. Uh, But we are almost to the we are at the last 5 minutes, so I'm gonna grab at least one more. Oh, this is a good one. This is an
Ooh.
out of the box one that I would love to end on. So, you know how we do have a feedback
Yes.
form that we send out? If we want to customize one of our feedback forms, maybe link
Yeah.
to a Google review or anything like that, what would you recommend going about that?
Yes. So that's actually what I did in this.
Perfect.
Okay, what you can do. So for those who are unfamiliar, we have a feedback form that automatically goes out to clients. Think it's like a few days after the trip end date. Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's basically just like it just says like how was the trip, you know? So it's just kind of like a follow-up. But a lot of times people like you're saying want more you want to ask more questions and totally get that. So that's why what you can do is you can turn off in your account settings, turn off the automatic feedback in your accounts, just turn it off completely and you don't have to worry about it. But then what you can do is create a form in your account. Now, if you created let me find it actually, because if you just downloaded that task list, you're gonna get the feedback form that I created. So here's what it looks like. We have, and this is once you get this in your account, you can edit it. But in it, I ask like, how would you rate your experience? Like, what was your favorite thing? And then also like leave a review. But then you also can do things like, do you want to add a photo with your review? And you can upload like have the document upload option. So there's just a lot more to it. So when you do that, just create your form or use what we have or go to Marketplace. And then you're basically then just going to set up the automation where you say send this form and then you choose that form and then you can include a message if you want. And that's how you'll do that. So it's kind of already set up in here actually. And this one is that feedback form. So feel free if you use that, just customize it to what you want and change the form if you want. And then that way it's set. And you can, of course, change it so it's not like 3 days after and all that good stuff. So that's a really cool thing. But I also okay, so, one last thing, I know we're on time here, but I did see one question I really wanted to answer. Where did it go? It was, because it was something that I was like, "Oh, yeah, I meant to talk about that," and I forgot. Okay, this is what it was. So someone had asked if because we're talking about, like, the app and them having access, and someone had asked, do they if they have access while you're working on the itinerary, like, are they seeing, like, the stuff that I'm putting together? And they only are if you've sent it to them, but you also can turn off the view. So if that is the case, and make a task for yourself for this, make a task to say, like, make sure you turn off, like, you have it visible for them. But every trip that you create, any itinerary proposal, you always can come into the settings and change the visibility to hidden or visible. And that's how, like, if you are working on it and you don't want them to see it right now, you can change that visibility. And then again, since we're on the topic of like tasks and automations, just set a task for yourself to say like make sure visibility is visible, you can do that as well in there. So there is a lot. Well, that was a lot. I
Yes.
I I think it's hilarious that I thought I would do this in 45 minutes, and then here I am with so many I just wanna keep sharing so many things. So I hope this is so helpful and just seeing, a full walkthrough. But a couple things I would recommend. One, once again, go into Marketplace, look around, get some stuff, but also chat our team if you have questions. If you get stuck, let us know. We're happy to help. But also check out our Facebook group. Go to the Travefy official Facebook group. So if you go in that one, I know Bonnie linked it in there in the chat. Go in there and put in some of your favorite stuff. Or if you're looking for things, ask in there, and people will really be helping you out. Because I know you can go marketplace, but there's a lot of stuff in there. So if there's something really particular and you just want to see if someone's made it and they're willing to share it, just ask. So hopefully, really awesome. Now, remember, I will put this recording on YouTube because I know I saw a lot of people like, I'm gonna have to come back to this one. Yes, don't worry, it'll live out there forever. And in once it's on YouTube, I'll also have those task lists that you can share into your own account as well. So they'll be in that in the description under the video, so you can always access those. Um, but okay, this was awesome.
Yes.
I love this.
Woo!
It's good
starting off
times.
September. We're already kind of in the middle of
I
September, but
know, which is wild.
we
It's
are
so
just gonna finish this year out, this month out strong. But thank you again, everyone, for joining. I know it's a
yeah.
busy season, so
Yes, thank
woo!
you
Let's
so
go
much,
get this.
but you're gonna make the busy season easier with
Yes.
automations.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Woo.
Thank you,
But
everyone. See you later.
awesome. See ya.